do it.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Good afternoon and welcome to the FACE Town Hall and 30th Year Celebration. My name is Francis Vigil, Education Specialist for Native Culture, History, and Language for the Bureau of Indian Education. I am from the Pueblo of Zia and I'm also from Jemez Pueblo and Hickory Apache. I will be serving as your MC this afternoon and we have a lot planned. You will hear from the Father of FACE, Bill Mahoja, the BIE Director of FACE, Sue Bement, Sharon Darling, founder of the National Centers for Families Learning, and some reflections from FACE staff, tribal leader, parent, and some of our original FACE programs. Our special speaker this afternoon is Mr. Tony Dearman, BIE Director, so stick around. I would like to recognize that no matter where we are coming from virtually today, throughout the Americas, we are all on Native American and Indigenous lands. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize those peoples and the lands that you're on. I wanted to start with an opening prayer from Mr. Johnny Johnson, from CEI Standing Rock Chapter President from Navajo Nation. Mr. Johnny Johnson.
Yate, my name is Johnny Johnson. I'm with the CEI Standing Rock Chapter here at Crown Point, New Mexico. I'm delighted to be asked to give the blessing of this conference town hall activities on behalf and for the FACE program. I'm going to do my blessing in my own native tongue and briefly do an overview. Yate anofto ka iya honolonigi shete ahado nanis benant islands the hastahi shananis. Ukoroshi yate the need will bow our head. Lord God, today we come to you before you with this virtual conference scattered across the country due to pandemic and other flu symptoms that are across the nation. In the meantime, we thank you for the 30th year of celebration activity that's put together for the FACE program to excel and has excelled and accomplished many educational levels of activities from those that are going to be born now to elders. So bless all the planning, designing, coordination of activities to be achieved again in the near future of 30 or more years. Lord God, we ask you for all the blessing of all the personnel, leaders that are part of this program, the founding gods of these programs. Thank you. And our elders knew that these type of activities could exist, as our old Chief Mandelito said, please remember that he told us, climb the ladder for your education. And I think we've got that started and it's going on 30 plus more years. So Lord God, help all those that are essential components of this wonderful program to exercise education, to learn, to listen, to learn, and also to prosper in the future. So thank you, God, and let everything be positive at all level of governments, all the tribal nations, all the state, counties, and federal be kind to us with fundings to support, and that our staff and personnel, parents, and otherwise children be blessed. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Well, thank you for that prayer, Mr. Johnny Johnson. So right now I have the privilege of introducing Ms. Constance Gully, the President and CEO of Parents as Teachers. Constance?
Thank you, Francis. Parents as Teachers is extremely proud of our 30-year partnership with the Bureau of Indian Education and with the National Center for Families Learning in implementing the Family and Child Education Program, FACE. FACE programs and parent educators confront unusually difficult conditions as you support families in Indian country. Distances can be great, and even with without the pandemic, many families struggle with
I can't hear
unemployment,
Constance.
chronic health issues, and high
you
levels
guys?
of stress. But the rewards are great. Many of you, as FACE parent educators,
Stand
have
by.
participated in the Parents as Teachers home-based FACE program, so you are intimately aware of its benefits. We are also very proud of the way in which FACE parent educators turned to virtual services when the pandemic erupted. The pandemic has disproportionately impacted American Indian families, leading to higher rates of infection and deaths, including among FACE families and program staff. Yet, parent educators have leaned in and are doing their very best to continue reaching out and serving families through interactive video conferencing where possible, or by phone, or by whatever means they can. As I heard recently, the best visit is the visit that happens. While many FACE families do not have computers, thankfully the majority of young families have access to smartphones. Some parent educators lack access to the internet in their homes, but through grants and school funds, many programs have been able to purchase laptops, tablets, phone cards, and hotspots for families and staff, so they can continue with visits. Programs like Chief Leshai and Oneida, who you'll hear from later today, have been especially successful in providing virtual personal visits and FACE family circles. Families are longing for a sense of community. Participating virtually in monthly FACE family circles allows families to come together for social interaction, which we are all desperately longing for. They are showing up and expressing gratitude for the encouragement and the support with activities to do with their children. They're enjoying the interaction with other families and their parent educators more now than ever. Interestingly enough, in some cases, parent educators have found with virtual visits that they've been able to increase visit participation and completion of health records, as well as the developmental screenings, which in turn improve outcomes. Some FACE programs have provided meals to families through the schools. Imagination library books are either being mailed to children's homes or mailed to the schools and then delivered to families, along with other early childhood materials, parent handouts to conduct parent-child activities, and incentives delivered along with resource information on COVID, the census, and other important issues. Other FACE family programs are looking at being trained in the Parents as Teachers 3 to K curriculum, as they anticipate high percentages of children on current caseloads not being able to get services from public preschool, Head Start, or even FACE preschool due to limitations in in-seat services for the duration of the pandemic. This can help ensure children turning 3 will be able to continue receiving at least some early childhood services. Going forward, enrollment will depend on access to technology for families and staff. Remote areas may not have access to Wi-Fi or cell service, and parent educators may only have the ability to recruit from communities surrounding the school and tribal headquarters where there is internet access. But our staff are preparing to work with parent educators around distance recruitment and engagement activities to make sure programs can continue to serve as many families as possible. All of you, parent educators and program supervisors, are doing amazing work. Through your dedication and commitment to families, you are making a real difference in the lives of families and young children. Thank you. I am thrilled that the two FACE founding leaders are with us today, Bill Mahoja and Sharon Darling. You've been with us from the start. And our own Mildred Winter is with us in spirit. We are grateful for the insight, time, and energy from these leaders. Without them, FACE as we know it today would not exist. It's hard to believe that it's been 30 years, but on behalf of the board and staff of Parents as Teachers National Center, I want to say congratulations, and here's to another 30 years. And now, a greeting from Sharon Darling, the president and founder of the National Center for Families Learning. Sharon.
Thank you so much, Constance. And congratulations to you for this incredible virtual conference. It is extremely impressive. You've done a fabulous job. You and your team are to be congratulated. So thank you for making this possible for all the attendees. And thank you to Diane Givens for all of the work that you do every day on the FACE program and for this incredible amount of work you're doing to really celebrate the 30 years of FACE. And thank you to the Bureau of Indian Education for making this possible for 30 years, for the commitment that you've given to the FACE program, and to Director Dearman to come to speak today to really reinforce that commitment that the Bureau has to the FACE program. And for Sue Bement, what can I say about Sue? I mean, I think everybody here would love to give you a big hug today, Sue, because your incredible talent and knowledge and what you've given to the FACE program, your leadership every day makes so much difference. We respect you and congratulate you for the hard work that you do every day to make it possible for families to succeed. So thank you to all of the people who are involved today in the FACE program, but we're here to celebrate 30 years. So I want to go back 30 years ago, since I was here 30 years ago, and had an opportunity to meet Bill Mahoja. And by then, Bill had this idea formed in his head already, and he'll tell you a little bit about the journey he went on to come to this conclusion. But he came to us with, he was really passionate about, we need to start younger, and we need to not just work with children, we need to work with their families as well. So when he came to his vision about what could happen if we looked at a system, he brought together 3 national organizations that had great results and research behind them and said, look, let's think about a system that we can work together so that it's not just about home visiting for 0 to 3, and it's not just about family literacy with parents involved, or our early child, or K-12 or K-3 with high scope. It's about a system. How do we make a seamless system for families in early childhood education and make sure that they are successful on both ends of the continuum, both the parents as well as the children? That was a great vision. And so we all came together and we worked hard as organizations to look at the commonalities that we have, but to make sure that our messages were the same all across. So if you started with your child as an infant and you were still in the program when your child was in the 3rd grade, you were getting the resources and the assets that you needed in order to be successful with your children. And also at that time, Bill Mahoja had the forethought to think about an evaluation, an independent outside evaluation, which has made all the difference in the world in the longevity of this program, because we were able to take that data every year, we analyze it, and continuously improve the practice that we were providing for families in Indian country. So that evaluation not only provided the continuous improvement, but it gave us an opportunity to talk about what was happening in FACE. And that's been really, really valuable in its longevity, because we know that we found incredible results every year. Every year it was the same thing. We saw that the children and parents were thriving, and all kinds of statistics that showed us that children who went into elementary school and had been in the FACE program did much better than their peers. We knew that in the short term in the FACE program that they exceeded the national average on nationally normed tests, and that parents themselves started to think about their own education and their own dreams and their goals. And so they started working on GED certificates and community college. And we saw this whole ecosystem of education take place in the families. So we were able to show that through the evaluation. But when you think about the FACE program, what is the FACE program? It requires all of those things, and we wouldn't have been able to have it without Bill Mahoja and the vision and the support. But the real FACE program is about the families of FACE, the families of courage who make a decision to come back and learn again. And for 30 years, I've watched those families thrive, and we have real heroes in those families. And you'll hear from Elayne Costello today, who's one of those heroes. But to watch families take advantage of an opportunity, get up the courage to try again and come back and see what they can do to improve their lives and the trajectory of their lives for their children. So when we think about the teachers and the paraprofessionals and the home visitors and the most committed people I've ever met in education, because the work is hard and they work hard every day to make it a success. So all across Indian country, it requires this kind of a column. It needs it at the top. It needs the leadership that Sue provides. It needs the teachers, but most of all, it needs the voice of the parents and their own culture to let them learn through their culture and help them teach their children through their own culture. So it's been a great journey for all of us. So what is the next 30 years? I don't think I'll be here in the next 30 years, but I hope that FACE will. And I hope as we think about the next 30 years, that we think about what it's going to take to make sure that we build on the success of the FACE program that's become a national model. How can we be sure that no matter where you wake up in Indian country, if you have young children and you need a FACE program, you have an opportunity to go to one? That requires a lot of expansion, but that's what we really need. We know we have something that is very powerful and that works in the short and the long term. So let's see if we can build that infrastructure to make that happen in the future. So happy birthday, FACE. It's been a wonderful 30 years, and I've really appreciated and feel honored to have worked in this program for 30 years. Thank you.
Next, we have the privilege of hearing from Ms. the FACE BIE Director, Sue Bement. She began her career in education, first as a special education teacher, and then as an early childhood program director. Sue is a member of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe and comes from the White Earth Reservation, and currently resides in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sue's dedication and passion for the FACE program is enriching the lives of families in American Indian communities across the country. So thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Francis. I never thought of myself as Miss Face. So that's Hello, I want to thank parents as teachers for going forward with this event. Thank you to Bart and his team, and Diane and her team, and Constance also. Thank you for not only doing this fabulous conference, who thought we would be doing it like this, but for dedicating so much time to our Indian families. It takes special people, our FACE parent educators and parents as teachers, technical assistance providers, to, when times are normal, serve people in their homes, to travel constantly, drive on roads that are at times impassable. But they always keep smiling and do a wonderful job. These special people are now not traveling at all, but are continuing their services. PAT has taken virtual visits to a new level. They have trained our FACE staff on how to do this, and they're all doing a wonderful job. Services have continued, and to me, that's a miracle. So we have met the FACE and the COVID challenge, I should say, and taken it to this new level of services. So families are happy. I'm happy. I'm sure the Bureau is happy that services have continued. So way to go. I applaud those people. And I wanted to say happy 30th birthday to the FACE program from Miss FACE. And now I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Mr. Bill Mahoja. Bill was the director of the Office of Indian Education Programs in Washington, D.C., and served in various positions in that office, including Deputy Director, Special Assistant to the Director, Branch Chief for Elementary and Secondary Education, and Division Chief for Education Programs. He started his career in 1972 as a teacher at the Flandreau Indian Boarding School in South Dakota, and later served as an elementary and secondary counselor and an administrator at the Rosebud Agency. While at the Office of Indian Education Programs, he was instrumental in starting the FACE program that provides early childhood and family literacy services to children and their families, and now currently at 48 Bureau of Indian Education schools. Mr. Mahoja was the National Indian Education Association educator in 2004, and that same year he also received the Goodling Award for Leadership in Family Literacy from the National Center for Family Literacy, and the Partnership Award from the Parents as Teachers National Center in St. Louis, Missouri. In 2019, he received Blazer Award from Parents as Teachers for his work in developing the FACE program and his commitment to supporting families and children. He has served on the board of directors for PAT and the High Scope Research Foundation in Ypsilanti, Michigan. He retired from the federal government in 2008. He is currently a private consultant working in the field of early literacy. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of North Dakota and a master's degree in educational psychology from the University of South Dakota. He has 2 children and 5 beautiful grandchildren and is married to a wonderful woman named Cindy. He is a member of the Kaw tribe of Oklahoma. I'm proud to introduce my friend, Bill Mahoja.
Thank you very much, Sue. It's wonderful to see everyone, even though we're meeting like this. 30 years ago, we would never have thought that we could do this. But anyway, thank you, Sue, for the kind introduction. And I want to thank Constance and Diane and the Parents as Teachers Board for recognizing FACE on its 30th year of supporting families and children in Indian country. Today, my mission is to talk about the origin of the FACE program. And in doing so, I want to focus on the activities that were undertaken to develop the program and some thoughts about the future. In the field of early childhood, we always talk about development and the developmental stages that children go through. And it is somewhat similar for adults. When I came to Washington in 1984, I came with a group of exceptional educators, some of whom I had worked with in the Aberdeen area in South Dakota. We all had grown up on Indian reservations. We had attended Indian schools, both public and Bureau funded. We had shared experiences with and knowledge about the history of Indian education. We had been teachers in the Bureau system and had also worked at agency, regional offices, boarding schools, day schools, etc. When we arrived in Washington, the Bureau had funded, beginning in the 1970s, over 30 early childhood programs. However, by 1987, the budget had decreased significantly and few of the programs were operating. By 1987, some of us had started to meet to discuss what needed to be done to improve student outcomes. We met with the National Center for Education Statistics to discuss the NAEP data that they had collected on children. We also met with reading and literacy specialists from the Department of Education. And we knew that students in our schools were behind. Some thought that happened around the 4th grade when they started to underachieve. Others thought it was around the 7th grade. We also knew we were investing a large amount of funds to remediate, and we had little success with that. We also had a large special education enrollment with many students labeled as learning disabled. Then in 1988, we started to collect standardized data from schools and also met with teachers throughout the system. In the Southwest, like out at Shiprock, as well as in the Dakotas. From reviewing the data and in conversations with teachers, we discovered that children were behind, not at 4th grade or 7th grade, but they were behind actually by kindergarten. And few were able to catch up later in school, resulting in a high dropout rate. In that same year, the Secretary of the Interior asked the Bureau, if it had $7 million more, what would we do to make a significant difference to improve Indian education? A small group of us were tasked to come up with some ideas. And during our meetings, we discussed the various options to include further remediation programs, reading programs, language development projects, teacher training, on and on. One night, my wife, Cindy, and I were watching a PBS program hosted on WETA. It was hosted by Felicia Rashad, and the program is about early childhood programs and the difference that they made in children's outcomes. As I watched it, I said, that is what we need to do. And my wife, who is an early childhood educator, said, I have been telling you that for years. Everything is developmental, even for adults. The next day during our meetings, I brought up my idea for starting an early childhood program. Mariana Jessen, who was a person brought to the Bureau to manage the 30 early childhood sites back in the 70s, said, yes, early childhood, but you also need to start at the beginning. You need to start at birth. And I think looking back on it, it was a real breakthrough moment for everyone because we had been struggling, trying to figure out a way to make a difference, to move from the intervention model that we had all these years in Indian education to one that was based on a prevention model. So we took the idea to the director of starting a program at our schools that would begin at birth, include parents and children in a family literacy program, and the children would continue afterwards in kindergarten once they completed the program. The director approached the secretary with the idea, and to say that we just came up with the idea, we had to also put papers together, recommendations, all kinds of options, all kinds of things. So it was pretty much in detail. So he approached the secretary with the idea, and we were given the green light to start developing the project. And I wish I could tell you that we knew what we were doing and knew how we were going to accomplish it, but we didn't. However, we knew that if this program was going to be a success, we needed to find the best service providers in the nation. And that was paramount when we started the search for organizations that could work with our schools. And that was before the age of the internet. So all we had were publications to refer to and rotary phones. So we started leafing through education magazines, parent focus magazines, calling people Mariana knew, as well as people in the Department of Education. And we subsequently found a small advertisement for a group in Missouri, or as they say there in Missouri, that was working with parents and children from birth to age 3. And so based on that advertisement, Dixie Owen and I went to St. Louis to meet with Mildred Winter to find out what they were doing and how. After that meeting and meeting Mildred, I knew we had found our first partner. I asked Dixie to take the training program offered by Pat to see what she thought. She did, and when she returned, she was very enthusiastic about the program and said she wished as a mother that when she was raising her children, that she had the information and support provided by Pat. Next, we looked for another partner for the early childhood program and found one in Kentucky who was working with children and parents. We asked them to come to Washington for a meeting, which they did. It is the first time I met Sharon Darling. They showed us a black and white VHS tape about their work in Appalachia. And I wish we had that, we could show you what it was like, and because it's etched in my mind. And I remember from that meeting, the importance of working with generations of families, a family learning together as a way to improve the long-term outcomes for children. And we thought, yes, these parents are like many of our parents who want to support their children, create a better life for them, but don't have the opportunity for completing their education or the information on how to support their children's education program. After our meetings with both organizations, we invited both PAT and NCFL to make a presentation to school board members and educators at a National Indian School Board Association meeting. It was our way to introduce them to our schools and our schools to them. We had also heard about the Perry Preschool Project, and who hadn't? And Dixie and I made a visit to Ypsilanti to meet with David Weichert and his staff. And I remember that meeting well. We arrived at night during a blizzard and had to find accommodations in another town because the actual accommodations they arranged for us, we didn't have enough resources to pay for it. So we had to go find another place. Anyway, we met with HighScope for 2 days, and we learned from HighScope the importance of providing a high quality program to achieve positive outcomes for children. Based on all of these activities, we made a proposal to the secretary to fund a 2-generation program that would start at birth and include children and parents in a family literacy program, and the program would be attached to our schools. We also wanted to evaluate the program to make improvements to what we considered to be a pilot program, because we really didn't know if it would work. We thought it would, given the partners that we had and some of the research that we knew about, but we didn't know. And this evaluation component has been an integral part of the program since its beginning. The project was finally approved, and we conducted tribal consultation sessions throughout Indian country, which were attended by the Secretary of the Interior, Manuel Lujan. I remember one session at the Santa Fe Indian School where one grandmother stood up and said we were starting too late, that we needed to start with parents at the moment of conception. And we have not yet figured that out, but yes, I agreed with her. As a result of our meetings starting in 1987, we were finally approved by the Department of the Interior and Congress in 1990 to implement a pilot early childhood parent engagement program. And you will hear shortly from those projects that were the pilot schools and were critical to the success of the program. We had a meeting in St. Louis with parents as teachers, the National Center for Families Learning, the research training associates who were the evaluators, and tasked them with developing a seamless program to serve children and families from birth through age 4 and to develop outcomes that could be measured. I would think it was the first time the two national programs have worked together. What was created was unique at its time, not only because of its implementation of a 2-generation model, but also because these programs were attached to schools. This is the first time it had been done in any education system in the United States. If we had time, we would talk about how it fit into the overall strategy of school improvement, which built on the family literacy efforts. FACE was the foundation upon which all of our other school improvement initiatives were constructed. And most of those were like the principal training programs that we had, the Effective Schools program, the Exemplary Schools program, the Access Native American program. All of those programs were started after FACE and were meant to build onto that, onto FACE. And now 30 years later, FACE is the one that's remained. The people who I worked with to develop and implement this program are now gone or retired. Mariana Jessen, who I consider to be the grandmother of FACE, Dixie Owen, who was the program's interim coordinator, Patsy Jones, who became the first full-time coordinator, Lana Shaughnessy, who was the coordinator after Patsy. They were all exceptional people who saw what had to be done, implemented what has become the longest-lasting education program in the history of the Bureau of Indian Education. Sue continues to serve in the same manner as the first coordinator. People who are focused on children and families, who work to maintain program quality, and a person who cares deeply about Indian families. Someone asked me why FACE has continued long after other programs have ceased to exist. We could talk about providing early childhood services, home visiting, parent education, support for special needs students. But I think the reason that FACE has continued is because the program offers hope to families where there has been none. Parents find a path forward for themselves and for their children, a path that hasn't existed for them before. It is because of people who are associated with FACE that make that possible. It is the FACE educators located in Indian communities who work day in and day out to provide opportunity and a hand up. It only takes one person to make a difference in the lives of children and families. And I know this to be true because when my grandmother was moved along with our tribe to Oklahoma in 1878, she was 6 years old. And she didn't have any education, formal education. She spoke only the Kanza language. And so she had 9 children, of which my father was the youngest. And so she decided that for my father, he would have a different path, that he would work in an office, he would get an education. And it was difficult for him because they lived in a little town called Washunga, Oklahoma, that is now underwater. And he had to hitchhike to go to high school, 15 miles each way, each day. And after that, he went to Haskell, where he got further education. And it was always my grandmother's dream that he would excel, which he did. And her dream for my father was transmitted to me and to my sisters. It was transmitted to my grandson and my grandchildren and my sons. And they have all found a good path forward. And it was based on my grandmother, who, because of her dream, made it possible for us to have wonderful lives. It's amazing what one person can do in the lives of all of the families, in communities, and also in their homes. I've always said that educators are the finest educators in the Bureau of Indian Education system. It's because you have a clear. David Winter told me the last time we met was if we wanted to make a significant difference, we needed to provide a quality program. That was the only way to ensure a long-lasting impact on children and families. I have never forgotten that conversation that we had more than 30 years ago. I urge you to work every day to provide the highest quality program you can. Take to heart the mantra from Edward Deming of Plan, Do, Study, Act, and the high scope mantra of Plan, Do, and Review. Quality has to be the cornerstone of our work. If you do, your combined effort throughout Indian country will continue to make a difference in the lives of children and Indian communities. And it will ensure FACE continues for years ahead. It has been my honor to work with all those special people 30 years plus ago, and the national organizations, Parents as Teachers, National Centers for Family Learning, Research Educational Foundation, and to continue to be associated with what we came to name the Family and Child Education Program. Children are living messages we send to a time we will not see. I trust those living messages will lead a fulfilled life because of your efforts. Thank you, and thank you very much for recognizing the FACE program. It's such a wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you so much for all of your work, dedication, and foresight. Bill Mahoja, our FACE father. Now we are going to hear from some FACE staff and couple of FACE parents. Welcome first, Kathryn Yates, elementary principal from Chief Lachey, one of our original FACE programs. Kathryn?
Hi, my name is Kathryn Yates. I'm the principal for Chief Lachey Elementary School, and proud to say that we are one of the first 8 tribal schools to provide FACE services for our families, home-based and center-based. And I raise my hands to Bill and Sue and Sharon and Diane Gibbons for supporting us, especially during this pandemic. We, over the 30 years, have provided thousands of home visits, center-based opportunities and connections for families that have created opportunities for them to grow and strengthen as Native American families. This year alone, we have 9 staff members that are teachers, technology, data support staff, and the most important job, in my opinion, of Parents as Teachers, FACE parent educators that came through the FACE program, not only completed their GED, but were supported by all the tools and resources through the FACE program to be successful with not only gaining their education, but now have children that are teaching for us in Indian country here at Chief Lachey Schools in Puyallup, Washington. We're really proud that thanks to Diane Gibbons sparking a conversation with us back in February about providing services for families that had ill children that weren't able to come on site. And we began talking about virtual opportunities. And Diane, I just can't thank you enough for starting that conversation back in February, because it helped us get a jump on providing services virtually for families, and not only help those families that were having children struggling with illnesses that couldn't get them out of their home, but now afforded us the opportunity to just continue on and provide services for all 48 of our home-based families. We also were able to find alternative ways to provide FACE family circles, to the point where instead of just doing one FACE family circle, we're doing two. They mail out packages with supplies for information and educational purposes to families, and crafts, and the support the families have felt. We've had parents in tears because they had and needed connection to other families and other people within Native community to figure out how to navigate the new world that we're living in, and having to provide education and teachings to their children. So I raise my hands, parents as teachers, and Diane and Bill and Sue and Sharon, and all those that have created the stepping stones for the success that we have within our community because of this program. Thank you.
Thanks, Elayne. Thank you, Kathryn. Next, please welcome Elayne Costello, FACE Coordinator, Director of Early Childhood from Tohajale FACE, also one of the original FACE programs.
Elayne Costello Yunchie, na kaiden enshla kabai bashichin, she ate a chedo, Tinajin ate a shanale, do tortile de yashia, ato shanan nishto shachine, qua shasnlong, ado shan hit shnido lake. Hello, everyone. My name is Elayne Costello. I am from Torjale, New Mexico, just 30 miles west of Albuquerque, and I represent the Torjale Community School, which is part of the Navajo Nation. I have been here at the school for 34 years in different positions, but now I am the Director of Early Childhood. It is my honor to share my perspective about FACE as we celebrate 30 years. FACE has planted a seed for our families across Indian country to start lifelong learning from home to school and within our community. The Family and Child Education, known as FACE, program has planted a seed for many families. FACE program is such a unique program from any other program within the school setting because it is family oriented. What is most unique is the Navajo language and culture that is embedded into the FACE program to validate, respect, and honor family values. FACE was initiated back in 1990-91. At the time, there were 6 pilot sites, and it was known as the Early Childhood Parent Involvement Pilot Program. And later on, it became to be FACE because we have like very individual people that we need to recognize. At the time with 6 sites, now we have 48 FACE sites across Indian country. And we like to thank the people that came up with the idea, the vision, planting that seed for Native American. And they initiated, they sustained it for 30 years, my goodness. And I would like to recognize these people because I remember they would, be at the FACE conferences, and I would like to give my hats off to William Mahoja, Dixie Owen, Sharon Darling, Mildred Winters, Joanne Sebastian, Lon Shaughnessy, even Larry Holman. And then also I'd like to also thank Sue and Diane as well. FACE is personal to me because it started 30 years ago and when it first originated. So I took part in it. I participated as a parent in home base and center base with 3 of my girls. I took part in home visits. At the time, it was called family meetings, and now it's family circle. The program was beneficial in many ways. I learned a lot. My girls learned a lot doing things together. Because of the FACE program today, They are confident, strong, independent, young Diné women that are successful within their careers, and they're still going to college. Also, I wore many hats here as within the FACE program. I was an educational assistant, a teacher assistant, center-based teacher, coordinator, home-based educator, bus driver. I did everything. Most of all, it was rewarding, and I love working with the children and families. I worked with these children when they were infants. They grew before my eyes as they entered the FACE program. When they transitioned from home-based into center-based, I saw them in kindergarten, elementary, middle school, and high school at Torjale. And now these kids, these babies are 30 years old now, and they continue to pursue their college and career endeavors. And some of them have families now, and some of these infants that I had have kids now, and some of them even have grandchildren. And some of them came back to work for their people within the community as leaders. And within here with the Torjale Community School, I had these students working alongside me as educational assistant, a culinary teacher, a procurement officer. So it's kind of neat to see that these kids were once your students. FACE has impacted many lives across Indian country and made a difference for families. We had families that were unemployed, parents that were illiterate, poverty-stricken homes, lack of school readiness, house screens were not, the parents didn't take their kids to the doctors. There was notebooks, thank you, Imagination Library. And most of all, parents, FACE program were empowered. They empowered the families to be self-confident. And then also at this early age, the social emotional well-being and the health of these kids is very critical. I went before the congressional briefing in Washington, DC, and I did a little presentation about how we deal with this and how we overcome it and what needs to be needed to help these communities. And now with the pandemic, we have a lot of work to do to support these families. And our number one struggle is technology with distance learning. So families have no internet. So it's a challenge by itself. And so we're getting innovative here as well across Indian country with our families to reach them. I would like to thank each one of you taking a role in the FACE program and PAT making a difference in the lives of families. I would like to acknowledge the parent educators representing their community. It's crucial you have an important role with the families because you have ties to the native language and culture, which is imperative to understand in order to help them. We have embarked on a journey of planting that seed back 30 years ago for our children to be successful, who loves to read, and they're at their reading level, they're social emotionally balanced, they are healthy to promote lifelong learning. And at the end, I would just say, a child who reads will be an adult who thinks. Thank you.
Thank you, Elayne. I am now honored to introduce a FACE parent video that shares the reflections of two FACE parents. First, Katrina Denny from Cove FACE Day School, a BIE operated school that serves K through 6 in Red Valley, Arizona, and Michelle Skinador from Oneida Nation School that serves grades K through 12 in Oneida, Wisconsin.
Katrina Denny Kintlitini Chlon Todok Oja Bashishin Kia Ani Edeshinale Sobaha Edeshiche Abijina Slate Nasha Shimado Shuja Eyaha Chester and Gloria Denny Holye Naki Shashina Holo Shuja Eyaha Essien Vandiver Holye Ado Shiyaj Eyaha Caspian Golson Holye Kwatao Dene Asan Do Amanchle. Hi, my name is Katrina Denny. I am of Red House clan, born for Bitterwater clan. My paternal grandparent is Towering House clan, and my maternal grandparent is Water's Edge clan. I am from Cove, Arizona. My mother and father are Chester and Gloria Denny. Um, I am from Cove, Arizona. I have two kids. My daughter's name is Essien Vanderver, and my son's name is Caspian Golson. As a Native American of the Navajo tribe, it is of great importance to um, um, disclose our clans first. This is how we identify ourselves as Navajo with the Navajo culture. Thank you.
Which face site program are you enrolled in?
Well, my daughter was in the Rama, New Mexico FACE program for 2 years. And my son, who's 3 years old, he is in the Cove, Arizona FACE program. And he's been enrolled for 3 years now.
What interested you to enroll and participate in the program?
My main interest and focus was my children's education. That is what interests me.
How has a FACE program helped you and changed your family?
Well, it changed our family a lot. I really didn't. I didn't realize how much. I really didn't know about cognitive development. How you could, teach your children at an early age. I always had the notion to, just wait. I guess we're gonna have to wait until 5 years old to get them, for them to start school. And I heard about this program and how it came from, just even prenatal, all the way to 5 years old, and it was amazing how my daughter, she's so bright and she's just so smart and everything, and her eagerness to learn, and just the results with her, it was amazing. And when I heard that Face was coming to Cove, I was on board. I was really excited for them to come, and we signed petitions for them to come to Cove Day School. Just mainly, I just saw the results in my daughter, and I wanted the same exact education for my son.
What would you tell someone if they were interested in the FACE program?
I would just tell them, it seems intimidating. I mean, I know a lot of parents are, at least from our community, from like it, you may seem like this somebody's gonna come into your house, and first and foremost, and it just sounds very like people can be very guarded, from on the reservation, compared to cities. They're not very open, and so I would just tell them, it's okay. They're just there, to their main focus is your children. Their main focus is to help your children. And not only that, but in return, you also grow as a person yourself. You it's just not only your children that benefit from the program, it's yourself. They also want to help you, either find a job go back to school. You know, there's all these benefits from the FACE program, not just your children, but, you know, you as a person.
Hi, my name is Michelle Skinador, and I've been part of the FACE program for about 6 years. We have 3 children that have been in the FACE program since birth. I was asked to do a little testimonial of my time in FACE, and I honestly can't say enough. The FACE program is my village. They say that every parent needs a village that helps raise their child, and the FACE program has definitely been that for our family. I think back to 6 years ago when my husband and I were expecting our first child. We were 20 years old, we were young, we didn't know anything about babies, and the FACE program really helped us prepare and teach us safety and how to interact with our child. They kind of helped me come out of my comfort zone. See, I had a lot of anxiety about leaving my child with anybody or even bringing her out places. You know, she was just this fragile little baby, and I wanted to protect her from anything. I work in the medical field, so, you know, I was staying home even. I quit my job, and I was staying home because I didn't want to leave her alone for 8 to 12 hours a day. And I really think that it was the FACE family circles and their community events that kind of got me out of the house and meeting other parents that were in the same boat that really kind of helped me gain the confidence I needed to return back to work. I love the FACE family circles. You know, once a month they have these family circles where other FACE families can come to, you know, and they have activities for the kids and meals, and it just gives parents and the kids too, you know, a chance to meet friends, and that really helped me a lot. So, you know, of course, going back to work helped our finances a lot. My husband and I were able to move into a bigger home, and shortly after that, we were expecting our second child, Jackson. Now, Jackson, I think, is a key point too. When he was born, pretty much from 2 months to about a year old, he had really bad ear infections, and the FACE program does vision and hearing screenings once or twice a year, I think. And they actually found through a hearing screening that he was having trouble hearing out of his right ear. So I talked his pediatrician into referring him out to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And he ended up getting surgery, putting tubes in both ears 2 times, and it ended up helping with his hearing loss. And I just kind of think, you know, if the FACE hadn't found that, how long would it have taken, you know? And it did end up affecting his speech a little bit, and if we hadn't nipped it in the butt then, his speech could be a lot worse today. Even now that he's in center-based FACE, the classroom, he's provided with speech therapy through the FACE program even. So they're really there to help with anything.
And now I'll be turning it over to Willeen, who will be giving special recognition for FACE leaders and for PAT's 30-year FACE pins.
Thank you, Francis. Good afternoon. I am Willeen Whipple, Mskapi Piikani, Blackfeet Nation of Montana, and also of the Chichangu Lakota, the Rosebud Sioux tribe. I'm also the Senior Manager of FACE and Tribal Relations for Parents as Teachers. I would like to recognize and give a shout out today to the FACE founders, our FACE dignitaries, and original FACE programs piloted in 1990. In true traditional Native style, we would like to recognize the following, who we are gifting with individually selected 8th generation Native blankets adhered with a commemorative FACE 30th leather logo. Bill Mahoja, father of FACE, Sharon Darling, President and CEO of the National Center for Families Learning, the Mildred Winter family in memory of Mildred, our founder, Constance Gully, President and CEO of Parents as Teachers, Sue Bement, BIE Director of Early Childhood, Tony Dearman, BIE Director, Frances Vigil, Education Specialist for Native American Culture, History, and Language for BIE, and our Master of Ceremonies today. Billy Mills, Olympic icon and mid-conference keynote speaker. Also the pilot programs that began implementing the FACE model in 1990. Chief Leshai, Fond du Lac, Tahajali, Torian. Additional gift items will also be going out to Elder Johnson. Speakers today, Elayne Costello, Kathryn Yates, and the parents who participated in the production of the FACE parent video. If we do not have your address, we will be contacting you shortly for that. We also want to recognize all FACE programs in attendance today. You will be receiving a special 30th anniversary FACE pin. We would also like for you to join us tomorrow for the general mid-conference session where we will continue to celebrate FACE. Keynote speaker tomorrow is Oglala Lakota Olympic Billy Mills. And we also want you to check out the FACE book drive where books go to support FACE programming across Indian country. And also, don't forget the special event tonight at 5 p.m. with everyone's auntie, Auntie Beatrice, also known as Tanya Joan Hall, comedian and champion jingle dress dancer.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being part of our FACE program celebration, our FACE celebration, and our dignitaries for being here. Thank you, FACE participants, our parent educators. My name is Geneva Johnson. And I'm currently part of the FACE program as their technical assistant. I would like to continue to provide you a lot of updates on your faceresources.org and then come check out our booth. Please come check out the Children's Hall, Authors Hall. We have our featured authors, our Native American authors. We have our book drive going. So come check out our booth in the Exhibitor Emporium, and you're more than welcome to send us a chat and be part of our chat conversations at the bottom. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Willeen and Geneva. And at this moment, I'd like to invite back to our virtual stage, Ms. Subamit.
Thank you, Francis. I'm going to introduce Director Dearman. Tony Dearman, a member of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, is the director of the Bureau of Indian Education, BIE, an agency within the U.S. Department of the Interior. He has served in this position since November 2016. The BIE implements federal Indian education programs and funds 183 elementary and secondary based and boarding schools serving approximately 48,000 students. As the director, Mr. Dearman oversees the operation of 2 post-secondary schools and administers grants for 29 tribally controlled colleges and universities and 2 tribal technical colleges, and provides funding for higher education scholarships to Native youth. Mr. Dearman brings over 2 decades of experience as a teacher, coach, and administrator in BIE-operated and tribally controlled schools. He began his career in education in 1993 at Sequoia High School as a science teacher and coach. He served as the principal at Sequoia High from 2004 to 2005. In January of 2006, Mr. Dearman accepted the leadership role of superintendent at Riverside Indian School. From 2008 to 2009, he was the acting education line officer for the Seattle, Washington office. From 2009 to 2010, he served as the education line officer for the BIE in the New Mexico South office. In 2010, Mr. Dearman returned to Riverside Indian School as the superintendent. He remained in this position until November 2015, when he was selected as the Associate Deputy Director of BIA-operated schools. While serving in this position, he has assisted in the implementation of the BIE reorganization and reform. Mr. Dearman earned an Associate's of Arts degree from PATCON College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Education and a Master's degree in School Administration from Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. It is my honor to introduce BIE Director Tony Dearman.
Thank you, Sue. And I want to start off by thanking Sue because without Sue's support of the FACE program, as you're well aware, we have 48 programs and she's a one-person shop and she does an amazing job. So thank you so much, Sue. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. This year marks the FACE is actually 30 years old this year. In 1990, BIE initiated the Family and Child Education Program when Mr. Bill Mahoja searched for a program to increase educational outcomes for children and increase parental involvement. He met with the National Center for Families Learning founder, Sharon Darling, and learned about the successful NCFL family literacy model developed in Kentucky. Together, they met with parents as Teachers National Center founder, Mildred Winter, and learned of the important work they were doing to ensure families were receiving screening services and support that would prepare their children for early childhood educational services through the family literacy model. BIE's FACE goals are support parents, primary caregivers in their role as their child's first and most influential teacher, strengthen family, school, community connections, increase parent participation in their child's learning and expectations for academic achievement, support and celebrate the unique cultural diversity of each American Indian community served by the program, and promote school readiness and lifelong learning. The FACE model includes Parents as Teachers National Center, which provides technical assistance to approximately 90 home-based service providers. We also refer to them as our FACE Parent Educators. The FACE Parent Educators focus in 3 key areas: development-centered parenting, so parents can understand and foster their children's development; parent-child interactions, to create positive and strong bonds; family well-being, including parent education, economic goals, and reductions in abuse and neglect. FACE Parent Educators provide home visits, family circles, periodic child development screenings, including social, emotional, health, hearing, and vision, and referrals to school and community services. Another part of the model is the National Center for Families Learning, which provides center-based services at the elementary school and preschool children, or for preschool children and parents. The center-based at school services includes preschool for 3 to 5-year-old children, adult education for adult learners, and parent and family engagement within the elementary school. Center-based services are offered at each site by an adult education teacher, preschool teacher, and a preschool co-teacher. The center-based staff is supported through professional development and technical assistance by the National Center for Families Learning. Families enrolled in center-based receive services in 4 components. The 4 components are preschool, adult education, parent time, and parent and child together time. The family literacy approach is a center-based FACE program. In the center-based program, build success for the parent-child relationship by strengthening their confidence, increasing their educational ability, and broadening their outlook for success while infusing tribal language and culture in program implementation. The results have an impact on a personal level for the family, as well as a broader impact on the community. For the 30 years, the FACE program has shown continuous improvement in terms of the number of children entering kindergarten ready for school, increasing adult learning, achievement, and employment, and parent engagement within the school throughout their child's early elementary school years. FACE has received external evaluation by research and training associates for each year since its inception. The evidence of success from the most recent FACE evaluation is increased literacy activities in homes. 78% of FACE parents read to their children daily as compared to the national average of 38%. Additional impacts on families include economic mobility, such as increased acquisitions in GEDs and jobs. Many parents have gone to work in early childhood education in their communities, including as FACE employees upon completion of the program. Currently, there are 48 programs in 10 states. During the 30 years of the FACE program, approximately 28,000 children, 24,000 adults, and 23,000 American Indian families have received services. The FACE program has continued home-based and center-based services throughout the pandemic. From March to May and beginning again in August of 2020, services have continued through virtual visits, learning packets, webinars, Zoom, and telephone. Families have received laptops and jetpacks and other technology to enable a continuum of services. The FACE program has had a drastic impact across Indian country through the 30 years of services. And when I read the numbers that have been impacted, 28,000 children, 24,000 adults, and 23,000 families, I truly believe FACE has had a positive impact across our tribal nations. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And again, I really appreciate everyone's involvement and the support of the FACE program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dearman. We appreciate your support of FACE and home visiting. Our FACE virtual town hall is coming to a close, and it is my honor to have been your MC and to work directly with the FACE program. Now I would like to welcome FACE Director, Ms. Diane Givens, to offer some closing remarks.
Thank you, Francis. And thanks to all of you that have attended this town hall this afternoon. And happy birthday, FACE. Happy 30th birthday. So let's celebrate FACE all week as we attend conference sessions and make new connections. I encourage you, FACE parent educators, to have fun, to this week share our best practices in FACE, and also to learn and take back what you learned this week to the communities you serve so you can continue making a difference as you listen, learn, and lead in the lives of children and families. Thank you, Francis, for emceeing. As always, you are a FACE friend. And we want to thank all of our speakers today, especially you, Mr. Tony Dearman, Bill Mahoja, Subamet, Sharon Darling, all of our partners for 30 years. We also want to thank the Dollywood Foundation Imagination Library, and also thank Books by the Bushel for supporting our Facebook Drive. Please all do go and visit the Facebook Drive and make a contribution, a donation, so that we can continue to support our families with books. We also want to thank you, FACE programs, that have taken time out of your busy schedules to be with us this week, especially the parent educators. And we also want to thank FACE, any other additional FACE leadership that is present, FACE administrators and coordinators, also any FACE center-based staff that is present. We'd like to thank my team that has supported the FACE project with technical assistance support. And Willeen and Geneva, thank you for all of your support and work for this conference. Thanks, Diane, Angela, Tanya, and Mary for your continuing support as we support the FACE teams out in the field. We plan to celebrate FACE all year, and we hope you do too. So send us your stories, your photos, and your videos. I do want to share that we understand some of you have been having some challenges with logging in. If you know of individuals that have not been able to get up on the platform, please ask them to check with their IT staff to make sure that there's not a firewall that is blocking them from gaining access. We will continue to support you and make sure that you're able to get up on the platform so that we see all your faces tomorrow at the general session. Please try to log in as early as 8:45 because the general session will start at 9. Again, a special thank you and appreciation for our pilot sites that were able to participate in this town hall, and we will continue to celebrate FACE in the general session tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Yay, FACE.